VCR Redux will begin in T minus 5 minutes.
What the fart is VCR Redux?
It's the show where we take movies from the VCR era and bring them back to today.
Well, how do we do that?
Well, we start by talking about a VHS classic, and usually you'll say something like,
I haven't been this uncomfortable since I watched Meatballs 4, Meatballs to the Rescue with my parents. Oh yeah, or you'll say something stupid like,
I wish we lived in a world where the Garbage Pail Kids made as many movies as the Muppets.
but I know you'll always see it through with a positive attitude.
I hate this movie, I hate being here, I hate all of this. Oh, Jamie Kennedy. Oh, well, shit. Well, let's go for this.
He was in Son of Mask. This is genius.
I am not a gamer. I'd rather read books. I'm just
He's like the old lady that's like, I got video game monsters, I got toy monsters in here.
As long as we respect the passion and the artistry that went into these films.
You know, obviously they took this movie, it's 93, right? And you're like, what do you want to see in your Mario movie? And they're like, oh, we want it to be grim, we want a lot of death, we want tits and ass.
Oh, and then we start the pitch ideas with modern day sequels like
Weekend at Bernie's 3, Cocaine Mountain.
Sometimes we take it kind of seriously.
I'll watch a Paul Verhoeven alien movie.
Oh my gosh, that alien will have more vaginas than anything you've ever seen in your life. Sometimes this Hawaiian shirted fool will pitch something stupid like,
I would take out the virtual reality stuff and just have it be about Jeff Fahey mowing the lawn.
Sometimes the best pitches come from the live chat.
Alex Bonafonte also pitches Grand Theft Starfighter Vice Galaxy.
wait, I thought I had the best pitches.
And what happens at the end of the movie? The ultimate fart. The fart that the warmth goes like all the way down to your socks.
The only rules are, there are no rules. Sometimes we cross over franchises.
Only the truck from Tango and Cash can kill Christine.
And sometimes we travel back in time.
Like 1995 is missing a good Universal Soldier sequel.
But you never know what we're gonna pitch next.
What do you want Daniel Stern behind like a muzzled mask? Like,
We all know it should be Pesci behind the mask, and like underneath the mask, you should hear him going like fritter, 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 fritter.
you are so proud of yourself for that one. I can't stand you.
I would also love to see a Charles Bronson version of It's a Wonderful Life.
What?
Direct to DVD.
If you made a shot-for-shot remake of Scarface with Goofy as Al Pacino, it would be amazing. Gosh, you need me to be the bad guy.
It's like the worst 1987 Disney movie Disney's ever made. Schlongo, directed by Jim Wynorski.
Like, I would watch a whole bowl of that.
Do the John Holmes story. Add a comedy spin to it.
Wow, the Wonderland murders are so funny.
I'd watch it on my mobile.
Something happens and he goes into a coma. He gets like, hit by a car or something. I know this is dark, but like, bear with me. He's got to go on an
Did you just go like Hard to Kill with Ferris Bueller?
I'd watch it on my iPad.
If you want to just like throw in the kitchen sink, I mean, it all works. Like Alien vs. Predator versus RoboCop, like if that works. Alien vs. Predator versus Terminator, that works.
Alien versus Predator versus Ernest, that works.
That works.
I respect everything you just said. I need David Silver and Terry Silver and the Sloan family all learning the Quicksilver, but they're doing it in Breakin' 3 Hydraulic Boogaloo. And it's underwater. It's gonna be incredible. Eat your fucking shit out, James Cameron. I got the underwater movie you can't touch.
That was the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life.
Mr. Toxie goes to Washington.
My ass would be in the theater tomorrow.
If Harley Quinn gets 7 movies, then Tank Girl should get at least 70.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
I mean, why should we even bother with Look Who's Talking when Air Bud is soaring to new highs?
All I know is I want Danny McBride.
I'd want him doing anything other than writing Halloween movies, honestly. Anything that keeps him away from that fucking job, I'm for it.
Just let him talk out of his butt. I don't care how he does it.
I'd rather not.
Austin Powers doing the Macarena.
That would be the opening credits. Come on.
But we have not yet had Die Hard on a half pipe. What if John McClane Jr. was a pro skateboarder and also an avid machine gun enthusiast? Skate or Die Hard.
What up, virtual people? Welcome to the 146th episode of VCR Redux, where we take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2024. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink.
How you doing, everybody?
And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, Crash Romeo guitarist and former Street Fighter champion Steven Zangief Anderson is back on the show.
Hey!
Hello. Thank you for having me back.
And rounding out this righteous crew, he's a second unit director and location scout who's worked on Law & Order, Dead Ringers, and Wu-Tang and American Saga. Michael Ricci is back on the show.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Hello.
Dressed for playoff success. I love it. Showing the Celtic pride.
Yeah,
We
I gotta
are
do it.
here.
Gotta do it. Yeah.
We are here today to crush your VCR's enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of the laser discs. That's right, folks. This world needs Conan 3, and we're here to give it to you. But before Ian says the gas station pizza is what is best in life, we got a dish on how Conan came into our lives and what we love about it. And of course, that goes double for you at home and everyone watching the live chat. Was it love at first laserdisc? Vital VHS? Hit us up in the chat and let us know how Conan came into your lives. So, Michael, when did you first get Conan?
So it would actually definitely would have been VHS, and I know exactly why. It was basically, this is kind of a good one, and I'm glad it hasn't come up yet, and it's a good one to do on the show. My grandfather has a few liquor stores in Massachusetts, and has had them off and on and other ones. One of them in like the late 80s or 90s was in like a strip mall thing and had a video store, like of who knows what name. And I think what happened was like they bailed on rent or like bailed on the lease or something. And like my grandfather ended up with all these videotapes. And my dad basically convinced him to put in these like 2 videotape walls in his basement in Watertown, Massachusetts. So like as a little kid, I was like, what is this? Like what are we talking about? So it was like any movie. I remember seeing like The Stuff, like weird movies that I wouldn't have really seen otherwise on VHS. And this was one of them. And this was mainly because of Terminator 2 and, a fascination with Arnold and, what is Conan. But then I think the more promiscuous elements of Conan are what kept bringing us back to watching it again. And then Destroyer, obviously, later. So definitely like late nights in my grandfather's basement with popcorn, like watching Conan on VHS, among any other video you could find from a failed video store in like 1980.
Speaking of promiscuous, whatever, you should see how hot and bothered you just got Chris talking about your grandfather's downstairs.
Yeah, with the video walls.
Like,
No, I can feel the Guatemalaness from over on this side.
Right, it's uncomfortable.
It's gross.
And I'm going to drop this earlier than I thought, but my grandfather had a lot of weird stuff in the basement, right? He had like old like ship stuff and whatever. We're Italian, so we have like pirates in our ancestry. And he had this big ass sword, and it looks like the Conan sword. And so, we got into trouble with this. And then I find out more recently for the show, yes, the Governator did have that sword up behind his head in his office. And from what I read, he gave the snake dagger to his nephew, which is pretty awesome gift from Uncle Arnold,
awesome. Wow.
So
Uncle Arnold. Holy shit.
Uncle Arnie.
Uncle Arnie. That's a whole different kind of spinoff. I'm sort of thinking of Leonardo DiCaprio from What's Eating Gilbert Grape meets Arnold and Red Sonja.
What?
So
I was thinking more like, what's the one with John Candy when he babysits the kid or whatever?
Uncle Buck?
Uncle Buck.
Yeah, well, maybe Uncle Buck, but no, the other one with Ed O'Neill when he picks the kid up for
Dutch.
Oh, Dutch.
Yes.
I love
Speaking
that
of
John Hughes
promiscuous.
I don't know what we're talking about
I love
anymore.
that John
but I like
Hughes could make the same movie like twice and like get it kind of right both times, and people just never called him out for it. Like Dutch.
You
and
see, every
Planes, Trains, and
director just
Automobiles,
keeps making the same movie over and over. Like Scorsese just keeps making the same movie over and over again.
True.
Yeah, it's kind of like, hey, remember The Old Neighborhood? Like that's every Scorsese movie. If you think about it.
I hate you,
when I was
Chris
a kid.
Stiles. You just Gilbert Gottfried a term that totally makes sense for Martin Scorsese. I hate you so much.
What was the term? I missed it.
It's just, hey, look at the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That is literally every Martin Scorsese movie.
It's summation. Yep.
Good summation. The neighborhood I grew up in when I was a kid was very Italian, and there was a lot of gangster types there. And it's a really, really terrible Scorsese impression.
They said Scorsese was so paranoid when he was making Raging Bull, and they needed a lot of haze and smoke, and he's an asthmatic. So he's sitting in the chair, and he's got the oxygen. He's got mirrors on the monitors so he can see if people are behind him, and they're filming in this like dark gym, and it's like you couldn't even approach him or come anywhere near him because he could see you, and he couldn't really breathe, so he's like Darth Vader. I would have been so scared of him.
Yeah, it seems like a really pleasant working environment.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yep.
Hey, if you get to make Raging Bull, I don't care if you like stab me with hot knives every day. Like I want to be a part of it.
And that's the problem, and that's why Stanley Kubrick was, what he was.
Yeah, that's true.
When he did the Shelley Duvall, yeah, you're right.
Oh my God.
There's directors like John Milius, a man who just. I've said this before. Chris has heard this story before. That is the only man in the history of mankind. I want to hear that man take a crap. I think it would be the most epic crap of any person alive. I mean, it would be everything. Just hearing that man just go at it in the bathroom with a cigar and probably a steak and a shotgun and just doing what he needs to do in life.
Maybe him and James Earl Jones already did. Who knows?
Yeah.
My gosh.
Everything I know about Ian says if John Milius started a cult, I would be his right-hand man. Like everything about you.
I'm too liberal. I couldn't be.
Yeah,
he's got a backpedal. Good.
What did he say he is? He's a Zen anarchist. I was like, okay, that sounds fun. I don't know.
Beautiful. That's art.
He also, again, we said this
seems a little counterproductive, no?
Yeah.
He also just wanted desperately to be the king of something, and he was never going to be the king of everyone on the left. So he aimed right, and he didn't really hit that either.
Well, he could be the king of the Zen anarchists.
But hey,
yeah, that sounds way cooler.
He was the king of the rewrite, though. For those who don't know, he rewrote a lot of movies that went on to become hits. He was a script doctor. He would write the most famous lines in movies that he didn't write the rest of, like, do you feel lucky, punk? Go ahead, make my day. He wrote the USS Indianapolis speech in Jaws the night before they shot it. Like, Milius was a hell of a writer. And, as a director, I don't think his work was as beloved as his writing, but most writers that become directors, that's the case. Not everyone gets to be John Hughes. So,
what he did not work on, though, I'm pretty sure, is Conan the Barbarian.
Well, he directed Conan the Barbarian, of course.
Oh, so right. Never mind. It
was like Steve.
A subtle way to,
subtle way to bring us back on track. But
a little back on track.
How did Steve first get Conan? Thank you.
I don't know, but I will say this.
Clearly, it's a good answer.
Nobody clearly. But I will say this. I'll say that I felt like we definitely had to rewatch this the other night, and it was like we put this on. I definitely have to rewatch this, and then 5 minutes into it, I'm like, wait a minute, this was on recently. We just sat through it. I remember all this. Like I forgot, whatever. So that's fine. Rewatch it. Still on the sequel though, because we'll definitely have to rewatch that. 2 minutes into that, I'm like, well, now we fucking watched both of these in like the last month or so. It was just on TV, and I
really the first one was on TV.
Yeah, they must have been like back to that, or we just like
the second one's on Netflix randomly, which is kind of awesome.
It's funny you say that because I can actually understand that feeling of the Conan movies. Like you based on the poster, you kind of think you saw the movie, and but it's like, do you remember? Another movie I did the same thing. I do that with. I think I was talking to Chris about this. I do that with Batman Forever. I've watched that movie like probably 25 times in my life.
Too many.
But every time I watch it, I go, I don't remember this movie. Like, I don't remember this. I don't remember that. Jim Carrey did that in the movie. There's a 3D fishing scene with Ed Begley Jr.'s in this movie. Like, I do that every time.
Yeah, I could see that.
I could see forgetting Ed Begley. But I mean,
nobody forgets Ed Bacon Jr. You son
I don't
want
to jump ahead, but like the second one, I mean, there's names after names for me. This first one, it's like, it's brutal. There's no dialogue ever. You do have some of the best voiceover ever by Mako, which is amazing. And apparently he was like unavailable.
You can't tell me that wasn't after the fact to try and fix this like big expensive mess of a movie. Like they threw a Hail Mary to Mako in the 11th hour,
but
and he was like, "I will score a touchdown for you now."
Maybe, but for the second one, he was unavailable for Karate Kid. Like, what if Mako was Mr. Miyagi, and that's the alternate world where this movie never happens? And Mako is available for Karate Kid, and
as long as Pat Morita does sidekicks, then everything in the universe is still balanced out, and I'm okay with it. Like,
but I love that little thing. And Mako,
your defense for that movie disgusts me. I've never known anybody to defend sidekicks more than Chris Stiles in this.
Well, that kid folks, is for those of you just tuning in,
it's Chuck Norris, right? Isn't it Chuck Norris?
Yeah,
it's Chuck Norris. But for those of you tuning in, there's Ian, my co-host, enemy of Chuck Norris, of Sidekicks, of Airborne, of everything that was fun. This guy doesn't like Tank Girl or Clueless or Romeo and Michelle.
I have the 3D pack with Hellbound and freaking the Hitman and Firewalker, you piece of garbage. Don't you dare come after me for my Chuck Norris fandom.
Get off my lawn,
bitch.
Like, get out of here. Like,
I could defend
you don't have Firewalker.
I could defend Chris.
Say you have Firewalker.
If you saw
I can't say I have fucking Firewalker, but give me a break. I mean, only you and like the fucking line producer of Firewalker have Firewalker on physical media.
It's Louis Gossett Jr. and Chuck Norris at the same time.
Firestarter, I know. Firewalker.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you talk about a lot of movies I think aren't actual movies.
You're not the first to say that, Steve.
All
right. So how did young Iowa Ian first get Conan?
Yeah.
I got to be honest. The first experience I ever have of Conan is hearing the stories that my mom and my dad went with my godparents to go see it in like 1981, and they were the only 4 people in the movie theater. And so, before I even knew Mystery Science Theater was a thing, I loved hearing my parents talk about how bad they riffed this movie.
That's awesome.
Sitting in the theater and just that was kind of like my first exposure. But I want to say that it would have been USA Network in like early mid 90s on a Sunday afternoon, and it would have been Conan the Destroyer.
That's so wildly specific.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
It had to be Destroyer because Destroyer is PG, and
they would have said, USA used to show Conan the Destroyer like every weekend.
But Ian, you go straight to my heart. I'm a big I love Mystery Science Theater. I grew up with it.
Oh yeah.
In the mornings, on the weekends, I still watch it a lot now. I'm committed to the new ones, and this Conan, the first Conan, is highly riffable because there's no dialogue at all. No one talks. So you have to riff it because you have to explain to yourself what's happening. Like, okay, he's pushing this mill for like 2 years and now it's strong. Okay. And they're taking him somewhere. Okay, where are we going? Like, you have to kind of talk your way through it. Yeah. 2 is a buddy comedy with Grace Jones and all these fun people. And 1 is just like, it's kind of feels miserable. Like,
I was miserable through a lot.
I mean, look, James Earl Jones is great. But even later, when he catches up with him and he's like, you murdered my family, you killed all my people. And he's like, oh, I was young, I didn't know. And when he goes to murder him later, he's like, what would you be without me? I am
with you, crowd.
And he cuts off his head. Like,
it's totally the Raul Julia speech, though. Like, I know for you it was the greatest day of your life, but for me, it was Tuesday.
I didn't feel it at all. I would just say they go out of their way a lot to show that he's some kind of magical snake man that everybody fears like wildly, and he gets the cult leader and has all this power.
Yeah, it's
and
the spiders early.
The first time he gets within 5 feet of the guy, and he just lops his head off, no problem. No problem.
Oh my god, yeah, no.
And it's like, why did you fucking do this 2.5 hours ago when we started this movie? You've been close enough to this guy and then didn't do anything this entire movie. You've gotten yourself sidetracked hunting this dude. You can chop his head off the whole time.
He tried to Jedi mind trick Conan, and he didn't realize that Conan didn't have a mind.
He almost did mind trick him. He's holding his hand and he's thinking about it.
But I will say this, as as the teacher in me has to come out. I mean, Conan to us is not a thing. Conan to baby boomers and those who read the who is E. Howard Hunt? Is that
E. Howard? Yep.
E. Howard. I mean, Conan books were like, I mean, that was a big publishing, juggernaut in the 50s. So
these are books. There's no dialogue.
Well, there's one book.
It was the descriptions of what he did. It was, Conan basically never really talks in the books ever, or even in the comic books, he doesn't really talk.
They sound riveting.
But Ian, isn't it true? This movie, in reality, with Milius, is actually more Kull the Conqueror, from what people say. Like this version of Conan the Barbarian isn't really true. Valeria is not his real love. He he always believes in Crom. I mean, come on, Crom. It's always Crom.
How do we do Crom?
But supposedly it's more Kull, and that's more the story.
Yeah.
And I think you make a good point in that it was actually one of the best adaptations of its kind in the 80s, and it was profitable. It made like 30-something million. It did pretty well. And that's when they cut it down. Oliver Stone wanted to make it for 170 million. No, Mr. Stone, not going to happen, So
that sounds like Oliver Stone, though.
I feel like
it does.
I do. When that man types in the typewriter, cocaine comes through his fingers into the script.
You knew the living marching powder was coming out at some point. You knew that.
And you know what? It's part of what made his movies his movies. It's part of what made his magic his magic. He was still going through cocaine withdrawal up until like the mid to late 90s. And then once he ran out of that, I think it was kind of the end. But I do want to get to the live chat. I see in the live chat, Dustin N. Watt. I imagine it's probably Dustin Nino. He said, oh, yeah, Dustin, right. What's going on, everyone? The first time I saw this was at a friend's house on Satellite in the early 90s. It was in the middle of the night and had to watch with the sound low. I was blown away. Whiskey 41 says, I've actually never seen Conan with grown-up eyes, only watched it on censored basic cable. Well, it wasn't until recently that I watched it with grown-up eyes, but it was a staple of my childhood. I'll get to that in a bit. Who else is in there? I see Cobra Kai Never Dies in there. Oscar Toronzo in there. Oscar says, watch Conan on TV with family and friends. One of those typical 80s movies. I grew up with it along with First Blood, Commando, Alien, Terminator, and so forth. Best times for movies. Those were the great R-rated movies of our childhood, for sure. Whiskey 41 saying it is available for $3.79 to stream from Uncle Bezos, although he's not made of money. We did have to get our research on for these movies, so we had to fork over the $8 to rent both Conans. I just had to do my best to brush up on Red Sonja. Let's see. Gold's Coat says first saw the Destroyer during the mirror fight. That theme song always plays when Chris has a great matchup and high five him. I think the chat is breaking up a little bit. I see Caitlin Altman in there as well. America's Next Top Model. Thank you so much for tuning in. Gold's Code is in there, so you better watch out, Ian. I'm sure the airborne pitches aren't too
it's already there, Chris. Did you miss it? It's right there.
It's already there.
Airborne.
Well, we'll get to the pitches when it's pitch time. But for now, and I see Monica Thyman in tuning in as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody.
Sorry. Quick about that mirror scene. I think that is a perfect encapsulation of a representation of this movie as a whole. Of things that are like, you see it and you're like, oh, cool. This is going to be cool, right? This is cool. It's a cool idea executed poorly. Poorly. Yeah, just like, what do we do if we have him run into a goblin? Well, the goblin's obviously in a mirror room. And if he starts smashing the mirrors, the goblin don't like that. So that's the only way, we could.
And all your friends are hiding behind one mirror. So don't hit that one.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, sure. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, these movies didn't handle the creatures the best way possible in multiple ways. But I do want to say one more thing on the chat. Although there is some sidekicks love, and I'm always here to celebrate that. But Dustin also says he thought Red Sonja was another Conan movie for forever, and he loved that movie too. Ernie Reyes Jr. was dope, and now he's honestly making me unlock a phantom memory of when my grandma was in the hospital and I thought I was watching Conan the Destroyer for the first time, but I think I was watching Red Sonja on TV. And like
it's the director of the second movie of Destroyer did Sonja.
Instead of visiting your grandma in the hospital. Is that the story?
Yeah, well, I was fucking 7 years old. What do you want from me?
Right, and they were like, Chris, are you gonna come? Everyone's going, and you were like,
no. You know, this is for all you fucking know. This is right after I walked out of the room. It was like, well, I looked at your chart, Grandma, and really things are looking possible here. But I think what we want to hope for is that
with your degree,
really, you should make your long-term arrangements just to be safe. And we're all here for you. And I contacted Omaha Mutual, and you're in good hands now. Like what the fuck?
Ian, is there like an Iowa Mutual? Is that a thing there too?
I'm sure it is. I don't know.
No, the Red Sonja thing is real. I was telling Chris, some of the history here is big too. Like Schwarzenegger, even though I know his acting is not what we'd want it to be here, he modeled it after Steve Reeves, who did all those Hercules movies, that Mystery Science Theater. I know that they're there. I know Hercules Unchained, Hercules and the Viking women, Hercules and this person, Hercules and that person. And Steve Reeves is like, look, I shouldn't because like guns are out. But it felt like he put so much into what his physicality was in this role that he didn't even think about the rest. I mean, when he's getting drunk in the second one and he's just spouting off to the princess lady, I'm like, this is a real scene? This made them. Yeah. But at least there's dialogue, because in the first one we get.
He was clearly upset. I mean, he was upset over the, for Destroyer. He was upset that they took out and made it a PG movie. I mean, that was from the get-go. Arnold wanted it to be another R-rated Conan movie. He really tried to get John Milius to do it, but it
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make who's your audience
from
at
a
that
business.
Point? It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Well, from a business standpoint, I get it. They thought, well, we could have made more money if kids could have come seen Conan. Like it did make sense. So you're making it PG though.
That's a sign of the times though, man. Like look at all those movies that you said before, those R-rated movies of our generation or whatever.
Yeah.
Every single one of them, I believe, has an animated kids Saturday morning cartoon spinoff. Rambo, RoboCop, Alien, that right?
Yeah.
The only Alien they had one, but I don't think it. I think it maybe didn't air. Yeah.
Oh God.
Well,
I want that now. I want the Lethal Weapon.
But you won't see Lethal Weapon was like the biggest script at the time. It was like the most anybody had paid because for the idea to cross all these genres. Well, we've been doing that for years now, crossing genres, and some of it's good, some of it's not good, and you're never going to get that back, that hard R, almost NC-17 just from violence. I mean, this movie, when you watch the unrated with the women, it's kind of like, whoa, when he's getting it with that witch, that's a weird scene, man. That's
a weird scene because he's acting in it, and she's like a crazy too. Like it's not right, but you're right though. It is a weird.
Well, then he's breathing, and they bring in the lady, and they don't even talk. Yeah. And then the other lady, he just kind of pushes the jewel in her direction, and then they can sleep together. It's like, okay, the jewel's
do you guys know the Red Sonja situation?
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, they didn't have the right to. Sorry, I just unplugged my mic.
Second, I'll try.
There it is. Yeah, so they had the rights for the Red Sonja character, but they didn't have the rights to do the word Conan. They didn't have the rights to do that. So, and Arnold had in his original contract to do an appearance in this movie.
You heard 10? Wow.
I heard he had a 10-picture deal with.
I heard it was four for Conan, but then, like you said, they twisted it into Red Sonja instead.
Well, and basically what happened was he was only there for like a week's worth of filming, but they set up like 10 different cameras. And so if you're watching Red Sonja, it's actually like the same scene, but from a different angle. Arnold kind of repeats some lines. It's different each time, so it works, but that was how they basically made him the lead star. Even though
co-lead or whatever.
Or co-lead.
I think,
but to the point, like even overseas, they changed the title to be whatever his character is in the movie. Like
it's just like the Friday the 13th movies. They didn't really have the rights, so they just called everything Jason.
Yeah, it's called Jason.
Well, yeah, for New Line, it was cheaper to just buy the rights to Jason than to buy the rights
just
to
fire
the
off
Friday the
another
13th
Jason.
brand,
And we're good.
That's why we have that Chucky show now, right?
Yeah, sure.
I think that's
and we got a
part
Chucky
of how
movie
it
and a
works.
Chucky show and another.
Sure,
Chucky.
right.
And I hope we get season 4 of the Chucky show.
And we got a
really
Hellraiser movie, and we might have a Hellraiser show, and who knows, whatever. But to
and
your
it's supposedly an
point,
alien
Ian,
show.
the true professor, the true teacher, I thought I was prepared, and I watched Conan, and I watched the second one. I was not prepared. I did not watch the unofficial sequel, Red Sonja, which I now have.
Oh yeah, no, which is actually not bad. I count it as Conan. Like
I
like
count it
it,
too. Yeah.
to me, it is the third Conan movie. It's just he's just not called Conan, but for all intents purposes, he's Conan.
He's Conan. Yeah.
So this
Yeah,
we
look
could
at the fucking
alternate
guy,
title this episode Red Sonja 2 Electric Boogaloo or something like
Yeah,
that.
Red Sonja.
Oh yeah, I love it. Oh my god.
It's
Yes.
sequel as the one we all forgot to watch.
Red Sonja.
Oh no,
Magenta.
it's Conan. No, it's Conan 3. I Sonia. Instead of
I Sonja, that's good.
I Sonia. Yeah. Oh, it's the ultimate fucking buddy. It's the ultimate
I,
buddy cop
Sonia,
movie.
yeah.
And it's
She
oh my
comes
god, we're
in
in
with
bitch
the
time.
sword right
So
at
we're
the
in
leg.
bitch time. So it's a Saturday morning cartoon buddy cop comedy called Conan 3 I Sonia. And the whole show is the idea of them doing one epic adventure, one Odyssey, one hero's quest, one, Odysseus, one what Joseph Campbell,
Hercules.
Well, I mean, but I will
Hercules,
say
yeah.
this: you guys know that you would not have He-Man without Conan. You know that, right?
Totally.
Of course.
You guys know the story of all that?
I don't remember the fucking details, but
Well,
yeah.
they
something about-
basically He-Man was Conan toy figure, but then when they saw is it Ken?
Oh, the toys.
They saw the movie and they're like,
Conan,
that's
violent.
literally,
Yes,
Steve. That's
the
what happened.
toys.
They
It
saw
was
the
the
movie
toys.
and they said no kids can watch this movie.
Blonde hair.
Yeah.
They put blonde hair.
Yeah, and so they had all this toys ready to go, but they didn't have. So overnight, they had to come up with this new kind of storyline for the molds. So He-Man basically is Arnold.
Right. He-Man's like a toy product that they built out from. Can
And
you
that's
imagine
probably
though?
why
Like,
Arnold's pissed. Because he didn't
what
get
would a
another
Conan-
toy
what would
until
a
way later
Conan-
for Terminator.
what would a Conan toy line look like besides him?
Well, I mean, they had a snake guy. They had James Earl Jones. They had all this stuff, but they
With
thought it
real
was going to
snake
be okay.
action.
Like they thought it was going to be Star Wars, and they didn't know John Milius.
In
They didn't know John
Destroyer,
Milius
when they
was
put on that makeup, that shit looks awesome.
Mhm.
I thought that was cool. You know that like white makeup that they
Yeah,
put
they do a
Oh, yeah.
way better job with giving you characters in that one.
Yeah, Destroyer. I mean, it's got. So I mean, I'd like to be on to Destroyer if we can.
There's a weird ADR voiceover thing with that guy Bob the Goon from Batman through the entire thing.
Oh,
where he's
dude,
talking
thank you
like
for bringing
evil.
that guy up.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tracy Walters, yeah.
And that was
It's
a
the
little
same like
distracting, but
production
yeah.
designer I think of Batman, so they got back together for that. But I thought that was so cool. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's
So,
so
I
funny. I
mean-
love
I
those
mean-
guys. That guy's Jack Nicholson's best friend in real life too.
I was
Like,
talking to you about this, Chris, and I'm like, "Who's the hype man guy from Batman?" And you're like, "Yes, dude." And here it is.
Well, so the question is, if you did a sequel,
Okay.
now do we ignore the Jason Momoa?
Yeah.
Yeah, forget it.
Ignore it.
Yeah, we want to know what's going on with.
I don't think it's
Not
canon.
Jason
It's not
He's
Momoa.
got other franchises.
It's not
He's
Momoa's fault though. Like, don't.
No,
try.
but is it supposed to be canon or is it a reboot?
Yeah,
It's a
canon.
reboot. It is a reboot.
No.
Really? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I think it was a reboot. I think
think it's a
right. I think it
full
was
reboot
made during the
during the
reboot
Arnold
era. Like
Yeah.
it's made during
Well-
the let's remake, Nightmare on Elm Street and Texas Chainsaw and
Well,
everything. era.
Arnold himself has been talking about this for years, but to me, what everybody wants to see is King Conan. I mean,
Yeah,
you
well-
want to see the old.
That was the
Conan.
plan. Yeah.
That is also the weirdest part of both of these movies, that they end with some odd epilogue of him as Old Man Conan sitting there depressed
Both
looking
movies.
both times. Both
You're
movies.
so
They're like,
right. The first one
eventually,
basically
yeah.
it tells you the next story and shows you the thing, and then you have the next
He
story.
eventually did
I'm like,
find
what
his
are you
own
doing?
kingdom, and he didn't really care for it much. And
It's like the worst way
Like,
to.
what-
I can think
yeah,
of.
what a
To
weird
put the
thing.
ends like.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is, if they did it today, I can tell you I know studio heads. I like to always take these seriously. I know what'll happen.
I know what you're gonna say. I feel like I know what you're
All
gonna
right,
say.
I want to see what
you.
I want to see what you
Hey,
think.
do it, Chris.
And you're not wrong. You're not fucking wrong. You're gonna say it's going to be Conan 3 coming to America, and you're right. It's gonna be that. It's gonna be like Conan is the king, and he passes off, the fucking kingdom to his daughter instead of his son. He never had a male heir, but his daughter is the most noble warrior ever.
I mean, it would be
Sonja,
but
Sonja.
I think that they would do a Flash. I think it would be this brand new warrior, this is that, and then Conan is going to come in. Arnold's going to come in at the very end of it as King Conan, and it's like he'll be in like the third act of
You're
the
right.
movie.
You're right, Ian. Because you know what? They can't just give people fans of this movie like an
What they
actual
want.
third
I
movie
know.
with Schwarzenegger what they would ever want, because that's not setting up a potential long-term franchise that was never going to happen anyway. You might give them one more with Schwarzenegger, and people might enjoy that enjoyed these.
Yeah, but more than
like
likely it's going to go like Terminator. More than likely, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of
course. But the sad part is what we really want. And I'll be honest, I actually think that there is a fourth already in the series, which is
movies again.
which is Cole the Conqueror. Now you can argue that yes, it's Kevin Sorbo, but it pretty much was
Hercules.
But it was supposed to be Arnold. It was supposed to be a new Conan movie. They just could never ink the deal.
All four of the movies are there.
Then he went to be
and
governor. That's what did it. He actually decided to run for governor, and that's why he wasn't in Conan the Conqueror is what it was originally called. But
I mean, I gotta say, like, I kind of have two pitches. One is like kind of serious because I think it does relate to the story. But the other one, the sillier one that I can just throw out now that I chuckled when I came up with it was something like off Broadway or maybe on Broadway, something like the Book of Crom, like a Book of Mormon, like having to pitch Crom, like wherever he ends up, nobody knows Crom and everyone is believes in something else. And
this is the serious pitch. I'm into this.
It's not a filmic pitch because I think you have to make the movie The Book of Crom.
My God, you're right.
There are no rules. Make it a fucking stage show if you got a good idea.
We never got an airplane version. Chris, alternate universe 1992. There is a Conan movie with Leslie Nielsen.
How is there not a send-up of these
long-haired Leslie Nielsen as Conan?
That's really good.
That would be
that's
fucking
good.
so
Kevin
good.
Sorbo could be in that too.
Directed by Bob Logan
or Bobcat Goldthwait.
You guys are all making me sweat this
So
episode.
that was the one,
Wow.
but the other one, just because he's a staple through these, and we already met him, is something to do with Mako. Like in the third one, Mako's in trouble, and now we got to tell his story and help him because it's been awkward the whole time, Mako. You've been telling this weird story about your buddy that you like, and then you met him, and then you were on the thing with him doing the voice. Like, we got to get you more involved. And Mako, by the way.
It should be Arnold doing the voiceover in Mako's story, too.
Now that his English is better, yes.
Yeah.
And in your version, the stage off-Broadway Book of Crom, because I was already kind of thinking musical.
Yeah.
Make the music super 80s hair bands, because here's the deal. The thing I love most about Young Guns,
Get Winger. Go my God.
No.
Winger,
Shut up.
soundtrack.
Mute him so I can get this out there, damn it. Laugh silently amongst yourself, because this is a fact. Young Guns is the only heavy metal Western that was ever made. And I want the heavy metal sword and sorcery movie. I can't believe we didn't get it, but somehow we didn't get it. There's like millions of fucking metal albums about this kind of shit. And then somehow we have the decade of all of it coming together, and they never come together.
Yeah,
I don't know. I want like the Ronnie James Dio.
If you don't have Thor, I'm out.
I want like a Jack Black, like CGI'd onto a ripped body. Like, it would be hysterical as a Conan type, like similar to the fucking Leslie Nielsen kind of take. But if we're doing parodies, that's another version.
Today
like
it would
Tenacious D. Yeah, it'd be awesome. Like the Book of Crom, and Crom is played by Ronnie James Dio, and oh my God, it'd be fantastic.
No, you're right. Like just like a dirty metal version of this.
I want Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
I want the Seth Rogen.
Not a bad idea.
I just want the Seth
not?
Rogen voice with
get like get your Spinal Tap, you know, like
You
kind
can
of
put anybody in
there,
any,
like
yeah.
Just
The thing is,
I wanted to flame you for a quick second when you talk about Milius and dialogue, and a quick quote from Arnold, like mid-film when he's like eating and he just yells, looks at girls and he just goes, sluts. I don't know if you caught that.
I don't think I caught that. Yeah.
I took some notes this time, but yeah, there's one point where they're like walking through the market and he's got all these things on sticks and he's like eating them and he like turns into some women and he just goes, like, no dialogue in this whole movie at all, and he just
does say that.
Lots.
What about when they in that first initial part of it where they bring him a woman as like a whatever
for breeding,
and he goes and he initially he's like no, let me get you a blanket, puts the blanket around her, walks her over, and then pulls like
blanket off.
You just kidding, I was kidding, obviously, come on, blanket,
I'm telling you, and then later when he gets rich and he's like enjoying all the spoils and he's getting super drunk, he just kind of puts it in her hand and closes her hand. And then they go have sex because he just paid her for sex.
Well, I think maybe Arnold had a weird clause in these movies where, like, if you're going to introduce any woman on screen at any point in the next 2 to 3 minutes, she has to have sex with me in the movie.
Yeah, the witch included, and he threw her in the water.
Everyone in the first one. Like,
nobody has a better contract than Fred Williamson.
I love when you look at these actors throughout this era and you can really tell what they all think of themselves. And the intersection of it is my favorite intersection of it is almost every single one of them had a Jesus complex at one point. Arnold gets crucified in this movie. Van Damme gets crucified in Cyborg. Stallone gets crucified in First Blood Part 2 and kind of in the first Rambo. But they all have their crucifixion scenes because they all think they're ripped 80s Jesus. And
like you said the other day, except for Steven Seagal. And it's
I have been
never had the body for it.
Claiming to be a film professor, and yet I have never noticed that in the history of all filmdom. I hate you, Chris Stiles, because you make me a terrible teacher.
Oh
no! The pop culture punk educating those on.
They do. Even Don the Dragon Wilson did it in Blood Fist 3. God dang.
Ian, if it makes you feel any better, we have a lot of spare time. That's pretty much all the two of us do is sit there and just fucking pontificate about, like, movie.
Oh, they went through the hand. They didn't do it right. You gotta go through the wrist.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll draw a conspiracy map about what happened if Tom Selleck actually played fucking Indiana Jones, and it'll take over like 2 weekends of our lives, and he'll just hate me by the end of it.
I mean, look, there's a lot of things about this movie, and this first one is not great. But didn't you get shades of stuff like in 1 and 2? I got shades of Temple of Doom a bunch of times, like when they're breaking into the temples and stuff. And
it's weirdly competently. Yeah, there's competent aspects about it. It's just so incoherent. Like
it's not just incoherent. It's boring as hell. Nothing happens.
Right. Yes,
it's
right,
like Dune, but there's no worms.
Right? It's nothing. It's a lot of nothing.
There's no like Dune. We got Sting. Come on, like geez, we got something.
It's like
the cast in the second one. Don't get me wrong. Will Chamberlain in the second one? Are you kidding me? His life.
I will say, I think this movie needed to be an ensemble from the get. It's weird. It's not my genre of movies. But before I get into all my personal tastes and stuff, there are some pitches in the chat. I don't want anyone to feel left out. So Whiskey 41, the first pitch I see, says late night TV will never be the same in his pitch. Got bad interviews, bad blues music, bad brown speedo physique, zero sense of humor. Steven Seagal hosts Late Night with Conan the Con Man. I love these Steven Seagal pitches. Sneak it in the back door every week. This is becoming the new Airborne. I love this. Thank you so much, the great Alex Bonafonte. Goldsco with the pitch, though. His pitch, Crom opens up a portal to another world, which Conan and crew discover to be Ohio. Now Conan must help Mitchell and crew in a downhill race to find home in Conan Born. I didn't think it would be possible for me to do an instant 180 on the whole genre of sword and sorcery
somebody
movies.
To actually like that movie, but apparently there is.
Chris, I would add in the Book of Crom into that in Ohio, and then we got a thing. Because if he comes to Ohio because of Crom, it's got to be with Crom and doing something. It's like a Crom. It's like Mac and Me, but it's Crom and Me.
It's Crom time travel.
Conan knows that flesh is stronger than steel, and the only thing faster than flesh are blades. inline blades to be exact.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
no,
He gets
no.
the fucking blade crafted from like the sword and the stone, you know what I mean? It's like the ancient blade passed on to him from Mitchell in the future. In the vision of a shark named Pepe. It all fucking finally comes together. And that's the day that Conan got his groove back. And that's the day that Conan truly learned what it is to be styling.
There's your mashup poster, Conan and the Waves of the Caribbean. Oh, Conan got his groove back.
Conan got his groove back.
I love it.
They do talk a lot. They do talk a lot about that. Flesh is stronger than steel.
Yeah, steel. The secret of the steel. Yeah,
it doesn't really go anywhere. I don't think it's true.
Well, James Earl Jones like unpacks it and says it's not, the flesh is stronger. Remember? And then he goes to the one girl and says, "Hey, girl, come here." And she commits suicide. And he's like,
"Right." But what is
that? I will say that I deduct.
If anything, would prove that flesh is stronger than steel.
Move.
Yeah.
But I guess my main takeaway from that was very much shades of James Earl Jones as Darth Vader in this movie, just a little bit, you know.
When you can get people like him to throw out that kind of dialogue, you're lucky in a movie like this, because he could say whatever the fuck he wants, and I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, totally. Yeah,
and he makes huge plot points in the movie. I mean, if he doesn't slow roll the mom and lop her head off, we kind of don't have a movie.
You don't have Conan, yeah.
That's the only thing that happens, though. Yeah,
he's just a barbarian at that point. That's all he is.
That's all you are. You can conquer women, you can kill anybody, but you're nothing without your mom dying.
The other big name from the second one, I think, that could create an awesome crossover, but I'm going to pin that. I'm going to go immediately to a movie she was in that I know Ian loves, Meatballs 4. Sarah Douglas, Queen Taramis from Superman 1 and 2.
It's Meatballs 4, Meatballs to the Rescue.
But I'm going to point to her
title.
I'm going to point to her being in another sandal and sorcery epic called Quest for the Delta Knights. If you've ever seen that, is something that they do on Mystery Science Theater.
Oh, she was in that.
Yep.
Yes,
she connects a lot of things to this movie. She's the Superman connection. She is a badass looking queen type person in all of these movies. I don't know what she does in Puppet Master 4. And I don't know what she does in Meatballs 4. Maybe you can tell us, Ian. But I think I just brought what I'm going to bring to tonight's show.
She's the villain, and she's the one that Corey Feldman has an affair with, but broke it off because he needed to go to the other side of the camp.
Let's not forget that she is also the deliverer of the greatest line reading in the history of cinema, which we all affectionately know as Superman,
yeah, dude, yeah. So good. The best part of that whole movie.
Oh my god, that's the best reading of any line in cinema history. I don't care what anyone says. That's better than Happy Look Out from Happy Gilmore, one of my favorites. But there are more pitches in the chat. The great Dustin Nino of Retro Fiend Radio makes the finest canon martial arts documentaries on the internet. His pitch: Conan the Usurper. Old man Conan holds the Iron Throne with Red Sonja and must maintain his kingdom through one last war and battle his greatest foe, time. If you're talking any kind of time or Moore's Day in the time, I'm probably in either way.
That's what I assumed he meant. Yeah,
I assumed he meant Moore's Day.
I don't love the
barbarian love. Oh.
Because the usurper guy is the one-eyed guy from the second one. That's his name. So, I like the pitch, the name. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
we need more world building. Do you know what it is? I think it's fair. We need better and more world building in these movies.
Totally
I don't
right.
understand.
Yeah,
I don't understand what the stakes are or what anyone is.
Well, that's the thing. They tried doing it with the Momoa version.
No, they did it in Destroyer. She becomes the queen. She takes Grace Jones as her security. She takes the other guy as the fool. I love that.
I know that.
Do you think Destroyer would have been better if it had been rated R? Like if John Milius came back. I mean, they have this epic dream story. And they do all this stuff, but
he also never gets his girl back. They promised him.
No, she's dead. Yeah, she's not coming back.
And
she's not coming back.
She never comes back. So that's beat. That's just a bummer.
I mean, I almost feel like there's a beat at the end of the second one where the princess, who's now the queen, looks at him and is like, "You're gonna want me or not, or I might kill you." I'm thinking to myself, she's a queen now. She's not gonna be denied her pleasures, and I'm kind of like, who the hell is Conan over here? Too good for this hot
I also like
gonna get his
they try to have Conan have integrity.
Conan in the books,
Conan in the books has no integrity. That
you know,
guy
there's
does
two
whatever he wants.
there's 2 full movies of this, and I don't think there's a single sign of any arc whatsoever with him. He starts out,
yeah,
he starts
Second
out
one with the princess.
What about
That's
it?
the thing.
That he does what?
He starts in the same place as he ended. I will have.
If she was like, "Come rule this kingdom with me," you know, like let's.
Yeah, he should have done that.
Instead of him being like, "No, I'm gonna just leave now."
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But you know why they did that though?
Because they do that awesome ending where he's old and they.
Well, the actress, she was 14 at the time, so
yeah, she was way young.
Arnold basically was like,
no. Steve, I mean, right. He's standing there, and all of his friends go up to that stage. They look back at him. He nods, and then they walk up next to the queen. And then he goes, I'm headed out. I'm headed out. You know?
And he awkwardly walks to the middle, and then kind of makes a weird left, like out of that. I noticed that. It was odd.
He
Ashley
Simpsons out, like
Oh man.
They said he even had to for the first one, Arnold. He had to lose some chest mass so he could do the sword stuff. He was like too big.
I believe it.
To do stuff. And
the second one, he does look like a fucking action figure. Like that must be like the best shape he was probably ever in. Was it doing the second one?
Yeah, he looks great. He looks like competition ready.
Well, that's why that's why he's not wearing anything the whole movie. Dino De Laurentiis is like, just show him naked the whole movie.
He is some like furry panties through this entire second one. I am there
and he basically is homeless. He never.
I want to know in history, was that real? Did barbarians just wear furry underwear?
If they look like that, I think in history of anyone who's figured out how to look like that is.
There's some archaeologist out there who undid a tomb recently, and it's just bare bones and furry.
There's no sorcery to get rid of a wedgie. Like there's wedgie. Not pray to Crom all you want.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
I don't care who you are. You can't clean that. It just isn't possible.
No one's cleaning anything.
I didn't think all the creature effects were that bad. I thought this actual big snake was kind of cool when he slices it.
Well, the transformations were so bad. Though.
Oh my god, that was my favorite.
They did better in like the Lon Chaney Wolfman.
When James Earl Jones changes. Yeah,
I gotta say when James Earl Jones, and his face is kind of changing, and you expect more of a transformation, but then it cuts back to him, and he's just a full snake.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, he doesn't hiss or like spit his tongue out. He's just like a head on a stick turning.
Although I didn't realize until tonight that was Andre the Giant though in Destroyer in that monster suit. It's Andre the Giant.
No.
Yeah, it's Andre.
Which monster suit?
No, the Dagoba thing at the end.
Yeah, the big giant.
No, they said there's 6 feet of horn there, dude. That's not Andre the Giant.
No, that was Andre the Giant. It really.
I call baloney on that.
I call baloney. Yeah, but I will say, the more they kept talking about it as its horn, I thought they meant it's like male member, and I was
that's because that weird. That's because that weird statue in the background. That's looking sexier than Chris Stiles when we talked about your video room.
You can just say it. Yeah.
So there's another pitch. There's another pitch in the live chat. Monica Thyman, her pitch. Conan goes north by boat, finds Iceland, and becomes the new Viking king. Travels and comes to America. The adventure begins. Oh, okay. And Angie Saunders has a pitch as well. The mashup genius herself. Her pitch: Terminator goes back in time looking for John Connor's ancestors and finds Conan. Wow, that's like a Arnold No Way Home kind of thing. I actually kind of dig that. Also, I see in the chat Serenity Q26. First time tuning in, I believe. Thank you for watching. Nice. My favorite Conan villain in the Conan lore is Kulan, Garth, a mega sorcery. In the comics, he went to Marvel and turned New York into the Hyborian Age. That's my movie. Conan wrecks the MCU. Well, I know Steve would love seeing Conan wreck the MCU here.
I can
the MCU. You know what? It would be fascinating to peer rather into an alternate universe where the MCU is in such trouble. They're like going to the old movie stars from the 1980s, like Arnold. Come on, like it never fails when you have a good script. Like we got a good script here. It's the Arnold.
Oh, it's like the opposite where they're just
you're
like,
the new Avenger.
Please, Mr. Cruz, please.
Yeah, exactly. Please, yeah. Oh
As
my
opposed
God,
to, yeah.
please, Katie Holmes. Yeah.
All I can
opposed to-
say, I think we can all agree that probably the greatest sequel that can ever come out of Conan the Barbarian was done by Weird Al, which is Conan the
Conan the Librarian.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
There's
UHF,
nothing that
yeah.
can probably beat that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I would say
agree.
you could just do a weird ragtag of crossing over with any other Arnold movie, like say Twins, and it's like they're the twins, but it's Conan with his twin.
Oh, dude.
or you
yeah,
could
give me
do
DeVito. Yeah. Oh God,
Yeah.
I love that.
or
I
you
love
could
that.
do what's the other one where Arnold gets pregnant? He's like a scientist.
Junior.
Yes. You
Oh
could do
my
like
God.
that, but it's like Conan Jr. and Conan gets pregnant. Oh my God.
Last action
He's been
hero.
pregnant
Yeah,
already.
okay.
So inflated. You know?
Jingle all the way.
Oh my God, Conan all the way. That's so.
I will say, listen,
and it's about the toys, the He-Man.
I'll go
toys.
see
That
anything
makes
with
sense.
Sinbad, so I'm in.
Makes
I'm
sense. It all tracks.
No, Steve, you hit. It's Conan all the way, but it's a battle to get the Conan toys before they become He-Man toys. And it's like it's all about the toys, or it's small.
That's actually
a
kinda
little bit of
cool.
small.
What if that I'm thinking of like a hook take now, right? Like what if you have like old man Arnold and like, you know, he thinks he was, you know, a warrior, so he's not really sure. He doesn't really remember. He's like living a regular
He's
life
lost.
somewhere and he's
Rufio!
lost and he's got to travel back and like
So
get the
nothing's
gang
changed.
back together. Nothing's
It's just
changed.
the
Yeah.
same thing. He's never moved. He's never progressed.
He doesn't remember. He's got to learn again, and he's got to go on and take on his greatest foe, Will Chamberlain, one last time, one last epic battle. I guess that's not really possible.
I
You
think
took
one
notes,
way
right?
you could.
So you could. Oh, sorry.
No.
One way you could pick up and just drop Conan anywhere in the threequel to wrap it up is just have him somewhere where he's like with a Cersei who is representing themselves like Valeria, and he just thinks he's with Valeria, and he's just wasting away there, and he's kind of an
That's
old
not
man.
bad. That's pretty cool. You know
And
what? Though
then
you make a good
find him
point.
there,
You
and whatever happens from there, come back to your people, or the snake head is back, or you know, remember how two snakes and it was only really one snake? Where's the other snake? Like, you know, I got
Technically,
the
you
Cobra
can-
Kai hat on, so I got to go with the snake.
All right, two
You
last
could drop
thoughts.
them off. I was gonna say you could drop them off anywhere because technically, besides the four of us right now, because we're doing this show, no one else is going to remember the specifics of either of those movies. So you could really do anything you want with it.
Not unless they saw Destroyer last week on Sunday when it was on TV. Yeah.
So
Give it
two
another week.
thoughts. One, just do Conan in a haunted house, and it would be fantastic. Conan in a haunted castle. They tease a little bit of this and stuff. You know, it's always a journey to the haunted castle, and then 25 minutes. No, give me 90 minutes of Conan through a haunted castle, and I would absolutely love it. And that's one thought.
90
Another
minutes.
thought. Just give me a John Waters Conan movie. I don't
Get
know
outta
what it
here.
would be,
I'm done.
but
I'm
I know,
out.
dude,
I'm
I
out.
would love
I'm outta
it.
here.
With
You don't even need
Divine?
Arnold. You could be
Oh
starring
my
Divine.
gosh,
Yes.
Divine as
Yes.
Hercules. I'm in.
Yes.
I'm in.
Dude, I'm so fucking in.
Forget
Even
Jim
young Conan,
Brown.
old Conan, anything.
Oh,
Anything. I would love any of that. So
Oh, there
those
is
are-
one other guy that you know comes into this for me. That's a pretty good one. There's a bunch of movies. I was talking to Chris about this. Another Mystery Science Theater. Now you pulled the lid off, Ian. A-Tor, the Fighting Eagle. If you've never seen
Get out of here. It's
A-Tor.
cave dwellers or go home, sir.
Yeah.
Oh
Cave
my
dwellers
gosh.
or get out of here.
I mean, for me, yeah, Cave Dwellers. There's also Ega is another one about like.
Oh yeah. You
Oh,
got
I
it.
remember
But
Ega
this goes
with
back. This goes
Richard
back.
Kiel.
Hercules. I almost said Serpico. Not Serpico. Spartacus. You know, this goes way back. But
Clash of the
A-Tor's got a
Titans. This
few.
could all. This
Let's
could all
get it all-
interfold.
yeah, super
Yeah.
fight. Yeah.
Right? This is all the same time period of roughly who gives a shit magic was in the world.
I do
You know,
like that. I do like to rip off, you know, Arnold. We got Miles O'Keefe. Like,
Oh,
that's
I
just
see.
beautiful.
Steve, you had a good idea. Almost like the one Thor where they, I don't know, like Hulk and Thor are fighting on some world. Like you take them, some big bad takes them all from time, and in a pit you have Hercules, Conan.
Oh, we've gathered up the
A-Tor,
greatest heroes of
got 'em
your
all.
time period. You know,
You're forgetting the greatest fight. It would be Arnold as Conan versus Dolph Lundgren as He-Man. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And maybe The Rock as
Oh.
the Scorpion King and all that. You know?
I mean, my controversial take is that he Masters of the Universe, the movie, is actually better than any of the Conan movies. I know that's weird, or Red Sonja.
With you on certainly.
I think Masters of the Universe, especially if it wouldn't have been made while Canon was going bankrupt, would have actually been a big hit, probably bigger financially than any of them. But that's another story for another day.
Yeah.
We are out of time.
That's another story for another day.
Yeah, just like Conan.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Get Mako over here, goddammit. One last pitch in there. I do say Serenity 26 also says there is also Savage Avengers, which is an Avengers team with Conan, Punisher, Elektra, Wolverine, Venom, and more. And
Tell me more.
Actually,
Conan,
yes,
Conan
exactly. Now Steve is sold.
Conan
now
could be the
Feige,
Marvel Universe. I mean, it would work.
Kevin Feige, I know you're watching. Why don't you just come on the show next week and we'll discuss it? But before we do that, is there anything you guys have got going on you want to let the people at home know about? Anything you want to plug? Articles, appearances, projects?
Just recently released a B-movie challenge for a terrible Bigfoot but movie without Bigfoot called Teenagers Battle the Thing. But pretty soon there will be a B-movie challenge for Woman Eater, a movie about a killer plant that eats women.
Wow,
cool.
I probably am going to read that. I'm not going to
What's
lie.
the challenge?
I'll probably watch the movie.
What's the challenge?
Yeah.
To make it to the end of the
minute
article.
23. That's the
okay. You just gotta okay, cool.
Challenge accepted.
I like a good challenge. I can sit through anything, dude. I've been on this show for so long now.
That's true.
I used to think that until I started watching a lot of movies.
Yeah, it's only my second episode. Don't try to scare me away, Steve.
Oh, God. Well, they only had me on for the ones that no one else wants to come.
I mean, you killed it tonight. You were the funniest person on here tonight.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
I have a few things. I realized I didn't put up my socials last time, so I'll do this. That's Instagram, Twitter, and then our movie is called Cabin Break. That's the Instagram. It's very new. It's a little baby thing that we're trying to cultivate, but we are going to shoot soon, and we're going to have a teaser trailer that's going to premiere at something called the Haunted Film Festival in Manhattan at Halloween, which is going to be pretty awesome. So still got to make it, do stuff. But that's been cool. And then, I just want to throw up those socials because people were asking from last time. I'm not too active, but I will be if people want to talk to me. You know.
Hell yeah! Wow, that's awesome.
I'll send a tweet here and there.
Yeah, right? Or X or whatever it is.
An X. I'll X what?
Well, also, before I say my final goodbyes and goodnights here, I do see the bearded miniaturist is in the chat as well, who was on the last couple weeks of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. He's also moving into a new studio, so he'll be doing some more VCRs coming to you very soon. But you Fandom fans might want to tune in next Wednesday at 9 p.m. when we find out that the price is wrong for our Happy Gilmore episode.
Oh, gosh.
As always, if you enjoyed this video, the best way to help is to smash that like button and leave a comment telling us what movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover on a future episode of VCR Redux. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow Fandom Spotlight and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.
Conan.